going to suppose the idea that what if Vegeta's plan to almost kill himself actually worked how it was intended? Vegeta would become the legendary Super Saiyan instead of Goku. Now, this is not to say that Goku never becomes Super Saiyan, it's just that Vegeta gets there first. How would that change the dynamic between Goku and Vegeta? I think it could change quite a bit. Let's find out. So we join the story when Dende has healed Vegeta, and Frieza takes out his frustration at the convenience tool that is Dende, and wastes the young Namekian right there and then. Vegeta isn't that bothered about it because he got what he wanted from Dende, he doesn't really give a toss about him anymore. Vegeta's now rather keen to test out his powers, and he then quickly powers up in the traditional fashion. As he's powering up, he mulls over how much Frieza has ruined his life, how much the Galactic Emperor has dominated him, and instead of being a prince of all Saiyans, he had to live a life of servitude under Frieza's foot, and it was disgraceful. All of his people destroyed by Frieza, his father killed by Frieza personally. Oh, it was all bubbling up inside of him. But before he can try though, Frieza still beats Vegeta to a pulp despite his best efforts. Now, even though Vegeta's power in this scenario has actually equaled Frieza at 2%, Frieza would have actually just increased it to 3 or 4%. He's got plenty of headroom, whereas Vegeta at this point is at his limit. As Vegeta then sheds the tear like he does in the anime, all of those emotions that he was having just earlier are amplified by a factor of 10, coupled with the idea that he is actually going to fail. And then couple that even further with the anger that he is not strong anymore. He then lets out a scream which can be heard for miles around and up into the heavens. Nobody has a clue what's going on, but Vegeta knows. He has become the legendary Super Saiyan, for real this time. Since the Galactic Emperor cannot sense energy without a scouter, he has no idea at the moment about the new power that Vegeta has acquired. Frieza thinks that this is all a trick and a way to try and scare him, and then actually get him to submit. He wouldn't put it past these filthy monkeys to do such a thing, or like that Great Ape form. Ooh, scary. Oh yeah, no, that just gets completely trounced by Frieza. This is just the same thing in his eyes. Oh, Freezy Pop, it's not like that at all. Now the question here is that whether Vegeta Super Saiyan on Namek is still strong enough to take out Frieza. According to the Daizenshu 7 guide, after Goku had fully recovered from the medical machine, his power level was now at about 3 million. This was still the time when power levels figured and we actually had a number. Therefore, it would be fair to state that Vegeta's would be less than Goku's, but not that much less. I would say, for fairness sake, it would be around 2.5 million. Then if you couple that with the multiplier of Super Saiyan, it would equate to about 125 million, just slightly above Frieza's power level at full power. Frieza taunts Vegeta and he lets Vegeta have one last punch in his face, you know, for old time's sake, for all the hard work that Vegeta's done before he kills the monkey. Bad move, Frieza. Vegeta takes this opportunity with gusto and punches Frieza in the jawline, sending the Emperor flying for miles. Frieza had no idea what was coming. Vegeta cracks his knuckles and chuckles to himself. Oh yeah, that felt good. Everyone else is horrified at his new power. They can feel it, and it frightens them to the core. Goku then arrives on the scene, having sensed that huge power appear for some reason, and just had to come and check it out, especially since this power wasn't Frieza's. Frieza then regains his composure and launches himself back at Vegeta. The Emperor chuckles and pretends to keep his cool. He let Vegeta do that. Yeah, that's what happened. Just to give him a false sense of security before he silenced the monkey for good. Vegeta, without uttering a word, points to his cheek, inviting Frieza to punch it. He then says, "Go on, Frieza. Try me." Frieza in anger launches at him and lands a punch sure enough on Vegeta's jaw. Vegeta takes it without so much as flinching. He then laughs in Frieza's face before grabbing his arm and slamming the Emperor into the ground, and then tossing him into the air. "Oh, I'm going to enjoy this," says the prince before flying up into the sky to join Frieza and raining down punch after punch. Piccolo, being the only person that can even utter a coherent sentence right now, states that Vegeta's somehow turned into this form and he's now really strong and just treating Frieza like he's just a child. Goku's kind of curious. He's not worried or anything. He's excited by this new power. He's just like going, "I wonder if that's that Super Saiyan transformation he was talking about earlier." Yeah, that's powerful, alright. Good for him! Vegeta is dominating Frieza something fierce right now, and Goku is loving seeing these two fight. However, this is the point when Frieza gets angry and launches his death ball down towards Namek. He hopes that he can just fix the problem right here and now, destroying the planet, just escaping back to one of his planets because he can breathe in space, and then no one would know that he was actually challenged, and quite effectively too. You just scrape that under the space rug. Fortunately, I guess, just like in the anime, the ball doesn't quite destroy Namek. Then Frieza does his 5-minute spiel. So Vegeta just has to think to himself that he's just gonna get on with a killing lickety-split. The beating of Frieza then continues unabated, until Frieza hits upon the idea of playing to Vegeta's ego, and stating that, "Oh wait, I'm only at half of my full power, Vegeta! You wouldn't want to waste such an opportunity as to fight me at my full strength now, would you? That's what you Saiyans love, fighting. I can give you a better fight if you want, if you just let me transform to full power, right?" As we know, Vegeta is easily played with offers like this, and he actually accepts the offer. Kind of like how Goku just let Frieza transform in the anime. Everyone around is despairing at Vegeta's decision, but they actually have to focus on the matter of hand, that what King Kai is planning, trying to get Porunga activated and then try and get the wishes out and get everyone off the planet before it blows up. Goku and the others are eventually teleported off of Namek in time because Porunga is successfully revived. Vegeta, obviously, demands that he stays alongside Frieza to finish the fight. Since Vegeta's power level with the Super Saiyan multiplier is much closer to Frieza's than Goku's was to Frieza's, the battle is actually quite a bit closer now that Frieza's at 100%. Be that as it may, Frieza is still subject to the weaknesses that his buff up to 100% actually ensues. Frieza loses stamina fast and soon becomes much weaker than Vegeta Super Saiyan, because that transformation is much better with its power management. That and Vegeta is a really good martial artist, whereas Frieza hasn't trained a day in his life. He has no clue about how to fight other than to throw punches and have big ki blast. That's it. Vegeta has the training to back it up. When Vegeta can sense that Frieza's power is decreasing fast, he uses this to his advantage and makes Frieza suffer hard. He doesn't give Frieza an inch as he goads the tyrant into using more and more of his power by just going, "Oh no, Frieza, I am much weaker than you. Come on, hit me. I can almost die right now. Oh no." But soon enough, Frieza's muscular body shrinks and he falls back to 50% of his power. He is done for now. He is now powerless against Vegeta. He begs and pleads for Vegeta to spare his life and states that he's so sorry for everything that he did to the Saiyan race and everyone around the galaxy, but Vegeta is having none of that and blasts the Emperor out of sight. Frieza is dead, and Vegeta's now got to get the hell out of here. Now let's say what happened to Goku finding a ship and then heading to Yardrat happens to Vegeta as well. Vegeta was still lucky to escape Namek, but since he wasn't dawdling around with toying with Frieza some more after trying to leave and then giving Frieza some energy and having to shoot him back in the back, he actually has a little bit more time to figure out what to do. Say about maybe an extra 30 seconds, an extra minute. Also, when he did find Frieza's spaceship, he would have known the layout, unlike Goku, so he would have probably had a better idea about what to do. He could either find one of the Ginyu spaceships that had docked with Frieza's spaceship, or find the controls to the autopilot for said spaceship, or maybe find an escape pod. He would have had a much better clue about what was available to him at the time. Now the real question is what happens to Vegeta after that. I believe that Vegeta would have been completely wiped out when he landed on Yardrat, but I also believe that he wouldn't destroy the Yardratians. Why? Well, he's just basically achieved two of his greatest missions in life. First, to defeat Frieza and avenge his race, and secondly, become stronger than Goku. He's done it. His personal crusades have been completed. Now all he has to do is recover, head back to Earth, and then fight Kakarot one-on-one and actually finally decide what was going on now with his new power. He can afford to be a little generous with the locals roundabout now. Goku and the others are safely back on Earth, and things continue quite easily and quite much as like they do in the anime, only with Vegeta not around to cause trouble. The next question after that is when does Vegeta show up again? Since Frieza is dead, King Cold is still out there, but he has no incentive or inkling to actually go to Earth. I believe that once Vegeta healed on Yardrat, he would have accepted the training of instant transmission. He would have learnt it instead of Goku. He would have used this power to his benefit and systematically, one by one, go to every single Frieza planet and destroy the armies, the garrisons, the squadrons of Friezas, decimating the Empire by his own hands. And he would have started this off by icing King Cold, the father of Frieza. Vegeta would have been merciless and made sure that there was nothing left of the Frieza forces. No rebel unit, no scraps, and no survivors. There would have been nothing to try and avenge Frieza further down the line. This would tie up all the loose ends and ensure that Frieza would never come back. Vegeta, now having laid waste to Frieza's empire, chooses to head back to Earth and take on Goku. By the time Vegeta arrives on Earth, this is around the same time that Trunks has also arrived on Earth to deliver his message. The Hero of Time is puzzled that nobody's around where he's landed because remember, Frieza isn't here, so he's not landed to try and take revenge, and Goku is still on planet Earth, so there's no planet Yard Rat delivery in that space pod, so that's not there. So Trunks has no choice but to head to the only other place he knows about, Capsule Corporation. At the same time, Vegeta shows up at Capsule Corp, waiting to find Goku has also come to visit Bulma to then challenge him. Why is Goku at Bulma's? Well, they're just going to find Dragon Balls, because that's the name of the show. Right there and then, the prince challenges the low-class warrior to a duel. And this is where we'll leave it off for this part. Now I'm going to leave a poll. What does Vegeta wish to gain from this duel? Does he merely wish to assert his authority over Goku, or does he wish to just flat out kill him? Vote now in the poll up top, and the results will dictate where the story will go from there. So there we go. Vegeta's acquisition of the Super Saiyan transformation on Namek has now made sure that he is the alpha male in the Dragon Ball story. He's avenged the Saiyan race, killed Frieza, become stronger than Goku. His life is complete. He is a much more rounded person now. He has accomplished a lot more than he had in the regular anime. He knows that he's strong. He knows that he's succeeded in his life goals. He knows that he can actually die happy. But he's not going to die. He's just going to get stronger and then try and rebuild the Saiyan race by any means necessary. Once done with all of this cathartic bloodlust, he then sets his sights back to Earth, and then to actually scratch that itch that has been remaining all of this time. Settle the score with that low-class warrior, and then he'd be completely done. Right the wrong that was wronged in the first place wrongly. Now, I left a poll for you to vote on last month concerning what would Vegeta's motivation be at this point. What does Vegeta wish to accomplish by beating Goku? Does he just want to assert his authority, or does he want to just outright kill him? With a pretty definitive 83% of the vote, you guys chose, and quite a lot of you, that Vegeta would spare Goku's life. At least for now. Vegeta would instead wish just to show who was the real strongest Saiyan of all. Who is the real Saiyan MVP? Show the true power of the Saiyan elite and all that jazz. As Vegeta arrives on Earth, Trunks is there about to warn everybody about the cyborg threat is going to come in 3 years. Remember, in my what ifs, I like to keep future Trunks' timeline constant, so that means it remains consistent through all my different scenarios, and it doesn't spread confusion. I'm not having to think about 2 timelines at the same time. Since Goku never went to Yardrat and came back down, Trunks found himself in West City talking to Bulma and Goku in the reception area. As he's doing this, Vegeta bursts in through the doors and demands that Goku fight him right here and now. Bulma isn't scared of the prince and tells him to pipe down and let Trunks finish his story. Vegeta then spots Trunks and notices something similar inside of him. He can sense Saiyan energy in there. It's quite suspicious. Sure enough, Vegeta hijacks the conversation and Trunks is now on the back foot because he's never met his father before. He doesn't quite gauge what to do in this situation. Does he actually retort or just let him say his piece? He doesn't know what to do, so he's just kind of left standing there. The best thing he can do is just try and repeat what he just said to Goku and Bulma. Vegeta doesn't believe him and demands to see the kid's Saiyan power. Trunks is reluctant to fight his father and make a bad impression, but after all this pressure, he has no choice but to oblige. Trunks goes Super Saiyan and Vegeta is aghast. What? I thought I was the only Super Saiyan around, grrr! Trunks then asks Goku if he can go Super Saiyan, and this is where Goku reveals that he doesn't know how to do it just yet. Again, more being aghast, Trunks then joins in with the shockness. He then asks, well, who was the guy that killed Frieza? Vegeta then takes this moment to be smug and point in his direction saying that, oh, that was I took out Frieza, it was all me. Kakarot did nothing. Trunks isn't too sure how to process this, but Vegeta then decides to move things along. Outside, Trunks and Vegeta duel with Goku looking on in disbelief. But Trunks is actually a little bit stronger than Vegeta at this point, and Vegeta knows this. So before Trunks can actually embarrass him in front of Goku, Vegeta calls an end to the proceedings saying, that's enough, I've been able to gauge your strength and all that. Yeah. When Trunks finishes his story and reveals about how two strong cyborgs will appear, Vegeta is quite excited to see another challenge crop up. Well, it'll take a while, but it'll be there. He's got something else to strive for now, not just beating Goku. He can do that any day. Trunks decides to give Goku the heart medicine anyway, just because that's the reason why he was there, and then decides to make his excuse and then go. Vegeta then issues his duel challenge to Goku and the pair then head out to the wastelands. When they actually get there, Goku asks Vegeta not to go Super Saiyan because that would be unfair for the battle. Reluctantly, Vegeta accepts, at least for the time being. In the midst of all this carnage, Goku actually goes Kaioken times 20 and catches Vegeta off guard, sending him flying back into the dirt. Thinking he has the upper hand, Goku once again lets his guard down, and this allows Vegeta to get behind him and then jump the Saiyan. And this is all down to, remember, Vegeta knows instant transmission. He then goes Super Saiyan and then bats Goku into the dirt like a fly. That's what you get for doing a dirty trick, Kakarot! Learn your place! Goku gets up and tries his luck again with Kaioken times 20 against the powers of Super Saiyan. And as we know, in terms of power multipliers, they just don't compare. In the end, Goku is completely exhausted and admits defeat, and Vegeta is absolutely loving this. He has managed to beat that Saiyan scum that bested him not too long ago, and now he's managed to get his revenge and he just feels absolutely jubilant. The only thing to do now is just to wait for those filthy droids to show up and then show them the power of the Saiyan Elite. He likes to do that. He hasn't got anything better to do. In fact, he hasn't got anywhere else to go. Maybe he can shack up with that bomber chick. She's kinda hot. Remember, Vegeta still had the same development all the way up until the Frieza fight where he actually then almost kills himself, so the interactions he had with Bulma initially still play out. So don't worry, Vegeta fans, he and Bulma still shack up. In the 3 years between then and the Cyborg Menaces showing up, Goku manages to convince Vegeta to show him the power of Super Saiyan, and so that means Goku could become Super Saiyan. Vegeta can sense that he's being played, but he does oblige because, yeah, it's true. It's a better challenge, it's better training, and also, Goku might actually prove a better distraction, and that means whilst the android cyborg threats or whatever are actually focusing on Goku, Vegeta can get the jump and then finish them off. Yeah, why not? He's already made it quite clear to Goku who the real boss is here. It can't hurt. 3 years later and the gang arrived 9 miles out of South City. Goku had actually told the Z-Fighters about the cyborgs in the interim, by the way. And we get to see baby Trunks with Vegeta once again making snide remarks on the situation. Yeah, he may be different and a lot stronger, but at this point in the story, he's still a crummy dad. Vegeta then is getting tired of waiting after all this time, but then his patience is rewarded when 19 and 20 then appear up in the sky, knocking Yajirobe's car down and then descend down into the city. The gang split up, eventually finding Dr. Gero having actually punctured Yamcha's chest. Sorry, bud. Gero spots Goku in the crowd, but Vegeta is quite adamant that he wants to assert his dominance. Gero states that he has no interest in the prince. The only directive that they have right now is to murder Son Goku. Vegeta is angered by this insubordination and chooses to go Super Saiyan Grade 2 right now and blasts 19 into smithereens with a complete full power Big Bang attack. 2 factors have to be taken into account with this move. First, Vegeta is a lot more powerful now than he was in the anime because he's been training day in day out in Super Saiyan at 400 times normal Earth gravity. And he's had 3+ years to actually refine the form. He has been able to tap into the likes of Grade 2 and Grade 3, whereas Goku has been able to just barely catch up to where he was in the anime. For those objecting this power gap now, Vegeta has been training constantly. This is what he does. He does nothing but train and sleep and maybe a little bit of mating with Bulma. Second, Vegeta isn't really that concerned about collateral damage, so the whole thing about, oh, let's take it away where other people aren't around, so let's just save people's lives, yeah, that doesn't happen. Dr. Gero is really scared at this point. He has no idea what's going on. He hasn't even had a chance to actually blurt out any exposition. This is the right time in his mind to actually escape. Before Vegeta can also process things, Goku's heart virus strikes and the Saiyan falls to the ground. Vegeta hasn't the time for this and demands that one of the other extras deal with the mess that Goku's just left, so that means Vegeta can focus on the important things. Once Goku's trip home has been arranged, thanks to the help of Yamcha, because I don't think he'd really want to stick around, Vegeta and the others set out to try and find Dr. Gero's lab. Eventually, future Trunks shows up and then spots all the carnage 9 miles off of South City, as well as the remnants of number 19, and then realizes that these aren't the same robots. Oh dear. We then get the whole rigmarole about Vegeta finding out that this Trunks is the same Trunks that he'd just given birth to, or at least Bulma had given birth to. So yeah, this future Trunks is his son from the future. We also then get Bulma actually identifying Dr. Gero as well as the location of his secret lab near North City. Once the gang arrive, Vegeta blasts open the door and demands that nobody gets in his way. Gero activates 17 and 18, and they activate 16, and Vegeta is keen for them to do as they please, because this is the challenge that he's been waiting for. 17 and 18 are really curious as to why Vegeta's being so brave, because after all, if they get in their way of trying to kill Goku, I mean whenever they get round to it, then, you know, they gotta face the consequences. And besides, their directive, again, is to murder Son Goku, and again, Vegeta doesn't take too kindly to it. This angers Vegeta even more, and in retaliation, he punches 17 straight through the mountain the lab is located in, and just goes after him. 17 and 18 then begin to fight the Prince 2-on-1. You might think that Vegeta would win this fight easily, right? Well, technically, yeah. He is stronger than the pair of them combined, but there is a factor that you have to take into account here. Nobody gave Vegeta a senzu bean, so all the power that you used to actually blast 19 out of the sky, yeah, your stamina's starting to deplete. Once Vegeta begins to flag, this is when they strike. Vegeta may be powerful than them, but in terms of stamina, he just can't compare. He begins to tire, and he's left wide open when 18 does her trademark breaking arm move. We gotta have that classic move in there. Trunks tries to avenge his father, I mean I don't know why, he just does, and 17 just whomps him down like he's nothing. He warns the others not to get in their way or else they'll be completely getting it in the neck, as well as other parts of their body. But we still get the 18 Krillin shtick because Krillin just wants to try and stop them and stand up to them because that's what he does, and 18 kissing on the cheek, yeah, I'm not gonna begrudge Krillin of any of that. So yeah, the group are just left to process what just happened. They saw Vegeta get beaten down. Secretly though, most of them are actually pretty amused that Vegeta's bravado and hubris was silenced just for a moment, but yeah, it was pretty sweet. Vegeta storms off in a huff after eating a senzu bean, and then Piccolo heads off to Kami's lookout to do the merger, as it does in the anime, because hey, he needs to try and figure against Vegeta somehow. Meanwhile, something is going down in Ginger Town. The fight between Piccolo and Cell carries on as it does in the anime, with the biomechanical warrior escaping in the same fashion, a solar flare. Vegeta comes over with everyone else, actually sensing that Namekian's power has increased significantly and abnormally fast. I mean, yeah, Vegeta's still way stronger than him, but still, it's worth noting. He's not quite as angry as he is in the anime because, you know, he's still the top dog, but he still wants to make it quite clear that he is the strongest guy, and yes, no one can be stronger than him, blah blah blah. We then rejoin proceedings at Kame House where Goku has recovered from the heart virus. He is keen to address the power gap that has actually grown between him and Vegeta. He takes to the mountains to try and find Trunks and Vegeta, who are currently brooding somewhere. He tells the pair about the rumors Spirit and Time, and Vegeta is quite keen to use this tool. Getting stronger? Yes please. He also chooses not to tell Goku about what happened with the cyborgs. Yeah, people can just forget about that. Much like in the anime, Vegeta demands that he gets to go first and Trunks just tags along because, hey, it's Trunks. As this is all going on, Imperfect Cell waits in the background while 17 and Piccolo are fighting it out almost unnecessarily, but it still is pretty cool, so I'm going to keep it in here. The following events occur much like in the anime. 17 is absorbed rather foolishly, and we then get Semi-Perfect Cell. As for the rest of the events, things pretty much stay the same right up until the point we get Perfect Cell. Why is that? I mean, Vegeta's supposed to be stronger than him right now, surely he can just beat him. Well, we still have to deal with Vegeta's bravado, remember? His dominance over Semi-Perfect Cell would have made him just as bored as he was in the anime and wish for a better challenge, and then allow Semi-Perfect Cell to absorb 18, that whole thing happens. The only real difference is that when Vegeta emerges from the time chamber, he is at full power Super Saiyan instead of just grade 2. We do get two major casualties though, Piccolo and Ten Shinhan. Since Goku doesn't know instant transmission, he cannot get to the parent time whilst they're trying to hold off Cell from absorbing 18. I mean, they will come back later with the Dragon Balls or whatnot, but it's definitely worth pointing out. I'm not going to give them short shrift. However, the fight between Perfect Cell and Vegeta is a lot closer in scope. However, Cell still has the advantage over Vegeta because remember, he is part of Vegeta. He gets exactly what the Prince is going to do. And after all, full power Super Saiyan is still just a little bit weaker than Perfect Cell. In the end, Vegeta is still defeated, and Trunks still has to try and save his father by doing the whole Super Saiyan Grade 3 nonsense, and it just looking really stupid, and yeah, we all know how that pans out. After his embarrassing defeat to Perfect Cell, Vegeta is left licking his wounds as Goku and Gohan are continuing to train in the Room of Spirit and Time. Both of them are more resolved than ever to make sure that the power gap between themselves and Vegeta is closed and they surpass it once and for all, because they think it's probably for the best to have someone who's a little less unstable at the top of the fighting food chain. Once the father and son have exited the chamber, Vegeta has realized that they have actually closed the gap entirely to his power. They are pretty much equals at this point. Not only that, but they were flaunting this newfound power like it was some kind of trivial convenience, like it was just something you would just acquire at a whim, not something that it took many seconds of planning back on planet Namek, not something legendary. This was like a Super Saiyan bargain sale in the making. All of these years with Vegeta as the top dog on Earth really gave his royal ego a good massaging. It's very much in power now. Vegeta, out of sheer frustration and anger, goes straight into the time chamber just as soon as Goku and Gohan have exited it without uttering so much as a word to anybody. He does this as he is reminded by Piccolo that Goku and Gohan have one more day to use up inside the time chamber that has actually been allocated them with every single lifetime, so therefore, Vegeta has that available to him as well. For those of you who might not remember, before Dende came along and pretty much made the Room of Spirit and Time a complete and utter convenience instead of a hellish place where you actually had to not take it lightly or else you'd go mad, you could only go in there for 48 hours per lifetime, or about 2 days. If you tried to stay in there for longer, then you ran the risk of being trapped inside that dimension for all eternity. Nobody could come and rescue you, well, unless you're Majin Buu or Gotenks and could just shout the house down. In any case, Vegeta is now on a mission to try and outdo Goku again, as well as his brat of a child. He remembers Goku and Gohan blithering on about some kind of potential power that Gohan had, that Goku just knows he can tap into for the fight ahead. Maybe it's something that he can acquire too, and maybe usurp Gohan in the process. Taking this into account, Vegeta now begins his newfound quest to try and find whatever this new power is, what we know as Super Saiyan 2. Since Vegeta is quite the solitary figure, he is more than capable of spending long periods of time on his own. What would drive normal people mad, he can actually tolerate. He doesn't suffer the same mental anguish that copious amounts of solitude would do to a regular person. He spends the entire year inside of the chamber determined to try and figure out what on earth this power is, and after about 10 months of hard graft, he finally succeeds in finding out what it is. Just at that one time, one day, he finds Super Saiyan 2 and taps into it. But the real question is this: does he announce his new discovery to the world so that means everybody knows about it and how awesome he is? Or does he keep it a secret and wait for the right moment to reveal it to make sure that the shock factor is 100% efficient? He can just let the weaklings soften Cell up a little bit, where he can go in for the kill and finish off the Bugman once and for all, and take all of the glory. Yeah, that would really heal up the wound that Cell opened up a while ago. Yeah, that's the perfect catharsis. Sure enough, he keeps his newfound power to himself and pretends that he spent the entire year trying to figure out what was going on, but made very little progress. He is not good at feigning it, but for most people, he actually gets away with it.
Oh, look at me! I can't compare to your power, Kakarot! I could do nothing! You are truly the top daddy now!
Goku falls for this hook, line, and sinker, but Gohan, he's a lot more suspicious about this. This is very out of character for the prince. For the rest of the time before the Cell Games, Vegeta continues to train inside the gravity chamber without talking to anyone, staying unusually quiet. Goku and Gohan continue to train for a little bit, but spend most of the time before the Cell Games relaxing as they do in the anime. Trunks is especially weirded out at his father's unusual silence. One day, he decides to question his father about what on earth is going on. This is very unlike him. What's going on? Being quiet and not bragging about something? Not right. He confronts his father about this, but Vegeta just tells him to shut up and let him continue on with his training. He does not want to be interrupted. But Trunks is insistent. He knows something is up, and he won't leave until his father reveals it to him. Well, I mean, this might be a time to show up a little bit, I suppose. In a fit of pique and actual curiosity and pomposity, Vegeta then decides to power up right there and then. He unleashes all of his power for just a brief second, but it's strong enough to destroy the entire gravity chamber and a good chunk of the Capsule Corporation buildings. Yeah, in that rubble, yeah, Trunks and Vegeta, they're okay, but Trunks is pretty much horrified. Trunks for a brief moment saw the power of Super Saiyan 2 and cannot utter the courage to say a word. Meanwhile, everyone else that could actually sense power levels, including Cell, sat up and took notice about what was that? Cell is quite curious. He can actually recognize the energy signature as Vegeta, but he actually chalks it up to the personality of Vegeta, thinking he's just having one of his temper tantrums again, and just laughs it off and continues on with his meditation. Goku and Gohan spot this, but Goku's just left perplexed as to what's going on here. But Gohan, his suspicions are becoming more and more concrete. Speaking of which, everyone then turns up at the Cell Games, and of course we have to start off proceedings with Mr. Satan being hurled into the side of a mountain. I mean, come on, we gotta have that. It's tradition. Trunks and Gohan get talking, and sure enough they do have suspicions concerning Vegeta that match up, and they know that he's up to no good. Trunks is about to tell Gohan exactly what he saw, but suddenly Vegeta catches his eye, and he then just goes, as if to say, "You utter one more word and I'll kill you where you stand." Trunks complies with this, trying not to anger his father. They think at this time of the situation, it's best to keep him on side and actually have a chance of defeating Cell, rather than Vegeta turning on everyone and maybe allying with Cell. No. Goku offers to go first, so that means he can act out his Grandmaster plan concerning Gohan. Vegeta, again out of character, allows Goku to do this. The fight between Goku and Cell carries on like it does in the anime, all the way to the point where we see Cell using the multiform technique. This is where things start to get messy for Goku. Once Goku's been able to bat off the 4 perfect cells, Cell then launches a Kamehameha, which Goku can really not dodge. And remember, in the anime, he could use instant transmission to escape. But since Goku doesn't know instant transmission in this case, yeah, it's not looking good. He is consumed by the energy beam, and the blast then goes off into space. Goku is dead. There is not a single trace of Goku left. Everyone is aghast. Well, everyone is except for Vegeta. But now the prince decides that this is the right moment to actually reveal his power to everyone. With his trademark smirk, Vegeta then reveals that he has ascended beyond the level of a Super Saiyan, has become greater than even the legends had foretold. Cell, knowing the measure of Vegeta, or so he thinks that Vegeta is just stalling for time and trying to rattle Cell a little bit. However, he's not counting on the fact that Vegeta might not be bluffing this time. With a roar that can be heard for miles, Vegeta powers up to the level of Super Saiyan 2 in a mixture of angry screaming, rocks hurling everywhere, and debris that can be seen up into space. The blast wave is so violent, in fact, that it is enough to turn the complete Cell Games arena into a pile of rubble. When the smoke clears, Vegeta can be seen at the power of Super Saiyan 2, smirking at Cell quite menacingly. He beckons the bug over as if to come check out something cool, which is exactly what the point is. "Hey Cell, wanna see something cool?" In just 2 punches, Cell is winded horribly, much like Gohan did to Perfect Cell in the original story. Filled with Saiyan DNA, Cell just laughs this off as just a moment of a lapse in concentration. "Ah yes, no, that was it. Ah, Vegeta, not bad there, chum. I let you do that. This power might not be so bad after all. Okay, alright, I was stumbling there for a second. Alright, let's try this again." Cell then powers up to his full power form, which is also winded horribly after just another 2 punches. Now left thoroughly confused, Cell has no choice but to stroke Vegeta's ego further to try and distract him, thinking, "Ah, yes, you're no match to me. I can't compare to you. I may have some more power to show you." Cell is bluffing that he hasn't reached his full potential yet, and if Vegeta just allows him to get a moment to power up, he can give Vegeta a proper challenge. Vegeta asks if there are any more cyborgs to absorb nearby. Cell has to confess that there isn't. Vegeta laughs with sheer delight. He decides to toy with the Bugman some more before letting him go out of sheer panic. I mean the Bugman, that is. Out of desperation, Cell launches an all-out Kamehameha. Vegeta, without so much as breaking a sweat, then charges up a full-power Final Flash to combat this all-out Kamehameha. The rest of the Z-Warriors are trying to comprehend what kind of power Vegeta's managed to find. Cell is completely overcome by the final flash and is completely and utterly and truly vaporized. Yeah, Cell is dead if you couldn't tell. Vegeta can no longer sense Cell's power, and he actually has, finally, gotten his revenge over semi-perfect Cell, who actually so masterfully fooled him earlier. He can put that issue to bed. The others are left simply dumbstruck. But they then remember the fact that Goku's dead, and they better get on with trying to revive him. But there are no Dragon Balls on Earth in which to bring him back, so that means they have to go out to New Namek to try and figure out a solution. Vegeta then toys with the idea that he might be able to use his instant transmission to try and find New Namek. I mean, he's in such a good mood right now that he feels generous enough to try and help them bring Goku back, I guess. Vegeta and Gohan then head off to New Namek. At first, everyone is horrified to see Vegeta after all of the stuff that he'd done on the original Namek, but when Dende spots Gohan, he knows that everything can't be all bad. Gohan then asks Dende whether he would like to become the new Guardian for Earth, and Dende, actually quite enthusiastically, accepts the proposal. Meanwhile, the Namekians gather their Dragon Balls to wish Goku back to life. Since Goku hadn't planned on actually sacrificing himself there and then, he accepts the invitation to return to the real-life mortal coil. He then just turns up in the rubble and goes like, "Hey guys, what'd I miss?" Now with new Earth Dragon Balls in their possession, the gang then try to correct every single mistake that Cell had made in the ensuing weeks. Which of course results in Tenshinhan and Piccolo being revived, as well as number 17 and 18. And so this stint ends with once again Vegeta being the top dog and Goku having to play catch up. Not only that, but Goku now has to be beholden to Vegeta even more for the blessing of being revived back on Earth. This is stroking Vegeta's ego even more. Goku is now even more in Vegeta's debt. This arc was primarily about Vegeta correcting the mistake that he made in the previous story and actually making sure that he could be the actual strongest person again. He bided his time to make sure just the right moment came along so he could actually show off his energy and strength and scare the bejeebus out of everyone the most effectively that was entirely possible. Going forward, would this tactic actually work against the likes of Buu? Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
As we gear up for the 7-year time skip, we have a very interesting situation here. With all 3 Super Saiyans present and accounted for, Trunks has obviously gone back to the future, of course, to do his thing there. Morale has never been higher. For the prince, that is. He is ruling the roost and can now dictate where the balance of power goes. He is aware that the Room of Spirit and Time is a thing and can prove to be very useful, even for his rivals. One day, he travels up to the lookout, alone, and talks to the newly minted Guardian, Dende. Well, I say talks to Dende, he basically is giving him an order. This is Vegeta basically ordering the Guardian of Earth around. He is now basically playing God. Sounds about right, doesn't it?
Look, I know you're new here, Pipsqueak, so I'll be soft with you.
He calls this soft?
That room of yours. Is there any way to get rid of that stupid time limit or something?
Dende mulls it over and says, well, there might be a way to do so, but it will require some time to do so. Now, this isn't me coming up with this on the fly, the idea of there being no time limit or anything. This is what happened in Super, if you remember, with the time chamber now being able to be used for how long as you want. You know, for that series, that was done out of convenience, of course, for the writers, because they were written into a corner. How are you going to make the people stronger really quickly? Oh, just get rid of the time limit, boom. Here, though, we're actually going to give it some kind of validity as to why there is no time limit anymore.
Very well. I'll bide my time. On one condition. You do not tell anyone else about this little arrangement of ours.
What? Why? It might be useful for everyone.
Exactly. I can't have anyone else getting stronger than me and undoing all of my good work. If you tell another person, I will destroy this chamber so that nobody can use it ever again. As well as you if you get in my way. Are we clear, Pipsqueak?
Dende, being new here and not wanting to be subject to Vegeta's bluster, is frantically accepting. Mr. Popo is aghast at this new Guardian being bossed around like this because he's a child. It's best not to make the situation worse, though. All he can do is console Dende afterwards. With Vegeta getting what he wants, he is now calling the shots. Now knowing he has the best ace in the hole to his reserve, he allows Goku and Gohan to train with him during the time skip. For the next few years, they continue to get stronger together, with Vegeta obviously overseeing how strong they get, and the 2 other Super Saiyans manage to unlock, on Vegeta's terms, Super Saiyan 2 eventually. But Vegeta is well ahead of that, having mastered it, basically. Was there another power above this one, though? A Super Saiyan 3, perhaps? He would have to figure that out on his own. In secret, obviously. He can't have anyone else knowing that this power could exist. 3 years after making his thoughts felt, he returns to the lookout to pressure Dende for an update. Sure enough, there had been progress. He had managed to succeed in removing the time limit for Vegeta and had not told anyone as instructed.
Good. Now I can figure out this problem in peace. Do not interrupt me. I do not need assistance.
He walks in without saying another word. All over the world, his power disappears, and the gang know exactly what that means. He is in the time chamber. But what is weird is that this remains the case for more than just one day. Vegeta had already used one. It goes on for 2, 3. Well, that's weird. Wasn't there supposed to be a time limit or something? King Kai, who had been quietly observing Vegeta's bullying tactics lately, cannot hold his silence any longer. Wanting to support his best pupil after all, he hadn't gotten sour with Goku for blowing his planet up because that obviously didn't happen. He communicates to Goku and tells him that Vegeta is hiding something from them, and he's not playing by the rules. And this angers Goku. Goku's always one for a fair fight, and for Vegeta to be deliberately changing the goalposts without him knowing it, being sneaky, this was sheer bad manners, and something he will not tolerate. A pocket of resentment is starting to form in the Saiyan's mind. It's very weird. What was once relatively pure and simple, carefree, it's starting to pickle and fester because of Vegeta's means of trying to deceive them. For now though, he and Gohan need to come up with a plan. However, Chi-Chi already has one for Gohan lined up. School. It's time that their son go to a proper school. They had had their fun, and clearly there was no signs of any bad guys coming to destroy the world, so all of this training, this frivolous activity, must now cease for Gohan's future's sake. Goku has no choice but to comply, and despite Gohan resisting more than usual because he actually likes training with his father, he also realizes that his mother is right in a way. Earth had been quite peaceful, and they had no menaces coming their way, so you might as well make the most of the study in case they do show up. Because of this, Goku is starting to get a little bit more irked. That resentment's starting to grow a little more. He calls up King Kai and asks him to help him get stronger, whatever he can do. First off, he could go to do what Vegeta did and go to Yardrat, do the training that he did. With his Super Saiyan power already there, his focus and improvements might be even bigger. Alright, I'm off to Yardrat then.
Okay. Goku? You feeling alright, buddy?
Never better, pal. I just have a plan and a score to settle. This Goku's a little off. He wants to help him, sure, but King Kai's got a bad feeling about this. With Goku now off to Yardrat, the planet starts to settle down a bit from all of this ill feeling because the two main catalysts aren't there, obviously. When Vegeta exits the chamber, 4 days after he'd entered it, he had figured it out. And he then blows up the chamber out of frustration.
Blast it! What a waste of time!
He fires off without so much as an apology to Dende and Mr. Popo, the two of them now panicking with the thought of having to rebuild their work. I mean, it was possible, it's happened before, because, you know, the Lookout, Garlic Jr., even though that doesn't really happen here, if you know what I mean. Still, that's not cool, Jeets. When he's flying back to Capsule Corp, he can't sense Goku anywhere. Where's he gone? When he gets back to Bulma, he finds out that Goku had skipped town. He'd taken his ship and headed off somewhere into space. He hadn't said where, just that he had to go and clear his head or whatever.
I'm surprised there was anything to clear inside that empty space.
Vegeta knows what Kakarot's up to though. He couldn't handle the pressure of his power and so fled the planet to find a cheap fix. Where though? He tries to sense Goku's energy out into space. When he finds him, is he off to Yardrat of all places? It sort of looks like it. He recognizes the trajectory. Right now, let's let him go. Even if he finds out how to get stronger, it won't amount to anything. He'd found out inside the chamber that Super Saiyan 3 power did exist, but it was utterly useless in the sense of a battle. Too much stamina drained, not enough of a gain to warrant it, and overall, it wasn't really a wise upgrade. Vegeta thusly chose to improve Super Saiyan 2 to the level of 3, or at least as close as possible, and so he wouldn't even need this new power.
Go ahead and run, Kakarot. I'll be waiting for you.
And wait, he did. We now jump forward to the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament, with of course some fun antics with the Great Saiyaman thrown in for good measure. Gohan had done some training between schooling and now, not as much as he would have liked of course, but he is now stronger than he was in the original arc, because Vegeta, obviously, wouldn't have allowed it any other way. Who else was going to give him a proper sparring session now Goku wasn't here anyway? The Triclops? The Surfer guy? Spare me. However, we have another visitor. After 4 years of absence, Goku returns from Yardrat in the ship that had taken him from Capsule Corp to Yardrat, and now he was back, ready to take Vegeta on at said tournament. He also then remembers that he had promised his toddler son, at the time of his departure, Goten, that he would bring something back from space, to prove that he'd actually gone there, and that he hadn't forgotten him. A Yardratian toy is plopped into the boy's hand, and he is stunned with the sheer alien feel of it. It's good enough. Videl and Gohan still meet up since the Great Saiyaman arc is still a thing, and the two of them hit it off, with Vegeta looming in the background, thinking that won't amount to anything. He's sort of become Gohan's overseer in a way, not actively interfering or anything, but just watching. For now, that is. With Goku's return, the tournament is going to be exciting to see, that's for sure. Had Goku discovered Super Saiyan 3? Would he use it? All of this gets halted though, with the arrival of Spopovich and Yamu, and then ultimately Babidi. You know, the energy drain, that still happens, Gohan goes,
How dare you do that to Videl? You'll pay for this!
That whole thing. With the gang all after them, with Shin's guidance, they find Babidi's ship and they begin the descent down into the depths of the ship to then tackle the foes within. The order is somewhat changed a bit, with Goku going first against Pui, a ploy of the Saiyans to illustrate his games to the prince clearly, but the latter isn't impressed.
You didn't even power up to Super Saiyan, Kakarot. I could have done that. What did you do out in space? Learn to disappoint me? You're clearly a master at that.
Goku is now getting really annoyed, big time. King Kai communicates to Gohan, the only Saiyan one here seemingly, taking a much more active role as well, because he's worried about Goku.
Watch out for him, Gohan. All this time out in space, it seriously messed with his head. I don't think he likes being bested by Vegeta.
This is weird. Normally Goku would be excited to have this kind of a challenge, someone stronger out there to spar with.
Yeah, I know. I trained the guy. I know what makes him tick. At least I thought I did. Vegeta's not playing by the rules. It's really gotten to him, so it seems. Just be careful, Gohan.
Gohan nods and promises to aid the situation as best he can. Gohan then takes on Yakon and does a similar tactic to what Goku did in the original, and overloads Yakon with energy to cause him to explode. Vegeta is somewhat more impressed by this with the boy's ingenuity.
Not bad, Gohan. You used your head and figured out the problem. Unlike your father here.
He jabs a look to Goku. He is sparking all over. The indignation and the unjustified slating. Why, Vegeta? Why? Now it's time for Goku to face Dabura, and this fight is pretty brutal. But Masako, wait, Vegeta doesn't get a turn. Yeah, I know that, because Vegeta lets him face Dabura. It's because he wants to see what this fool could really do, not just use base against Pui. He's generous like that.
I'll just stand here and clean up the mess when you clearly lose.
With this egging on, Goku is relentless. He tears apart Dabura pretty quickly, the Demon Lord having no answer to Goku's power, as well as his fury and tenacity. This is very unsettling to witness, despite losing his minion to this Saiyan's power though. The wizard has an idea forming. You know what? I can work with this inconvenience. With that last fight done, Goku is brimming with adrenaline and feeling pumped. Did you see that, Vegeta? I did get stronger! I beat him fair and square, unlike you!
Oh? Are you calling me a cheater, Kakarot? Why so sour?
I know you've been keeping things from us, trying to stay dominant through unfair means. I will show you when this is all over that way of life will get you nowhere.
I look forward to it. Looking forward to how much of a fool you will make of yourself when I beat you down.
Goku is sparking with anger again, and this is the moment to pounce. Babidi conjures all of his power and takes over Goku's mind. Suddenly, Goku is recoiling with pain, agony in his head. He had been jumped by Babidi's mind control in a moment of surprise. The Saiyan being distracted by his insane obsession with Vegeta's injustice and unfair tactics. It all results in the formation of a very sinister evil. Evil that had not been in place in this body since the days of the babe, before the bump on the head was a thing. We are now witnessing the birth of Majin Goku. We then see Babidi victorious, watching Goku showing off the infamous M logo on his forehead.
Excellent. Despite his good nature, it seems the short Saiyan had pushed him too far. Now I can make use of his own malice to tear that leader apart, and the rest will follow like lambs.
Majin Goku is staring with anger at Vegeta, the prince not understanding how this was even possible.
How? How did this happen? I thought you were supposed to be the nicest of all the Saiyans. That look of yours, it's pure.
Evil, mutters Goku. Not quite. I don't want to hurt anyone else. Yet. My anger is focused squarely on you, Vegeta.
Vegeta is pretending to ignore this bluster. He had heard all of this before with many species in the past in his younger days, and even some from Goku, in fact, when he was being really snarky.
Don't you see? You don't take things seriously. You hide things from everyone, just so that nobody can beat you. You cheat. That's why you're the strongest. All the time I've known that you've cheated. You schemed. No more! It's time I ended this.
Vegeta is not in a mocking mood anymore. He is serious for the first time in what seemed like an eternity.
It's a shame. I thought you were made of stronger stuff, Kakarot. You let this wizard get the better of you. I knew you were weak. I have no choice but to show you the error of your judgment. You have lost your freedom without knowing it.
What do you mean? My mind is perfect. Ah!
He recoils in pain, and then a voice echoes inside of his mind.
The prince is right, Saiyan. You inadvertently let me in, and now I control you. Your petty sense of fair play got you into this mess, and now you'll be powerless to resist my command. Now, kill Vegeta!
Goku tries to shake this off by trying to knock himself out, but suddenly, a calm and almost unnerving serenity crosses his face, and his icy stare is on Vegeta. Babidi then transports them to a nearby wasteland area, so that means they don't mess up his ship, and the fight begins.
Good. Now that those monkeys are squabbling amongst themselves, I can get on with the final preparation ready for Majin Buu's arrival in peace. I'd better be quick. They are mighty powerful.
Gohan and Shin are watching all of this go down, and realize that they have no chance in reasoning with Goku or Vegeta. They were transported as well. Shin instructs Gohan to head back to Babidi's vessel under his own steam and try to see if they together can stop the wizard from getting the sealed ball prepared in time, and hopefully heading him off the mage at the pass. I know this might be hard, Gohan, but your father is trapped inside of his own body. Babidi shows no mercy. After all, his father allowed Majin Buu to strike terror amongst the universe in the first place. Who's to say that his son is any different, or maybe even worse? Gohan nods and agrees, looking up to his father, who had an expression that was very unlike what he normally would show. With that, the pair plan to head out. However, Goku spots them and hurls a ki blast in their direction.
You're not going anywhere, you two. I can't have you interfere with Lord Babidi's wishes.
Speaking of which, the wizard is watching all of this in his crystal ball and is amazed with the observational skills and speed of Goku.
Wow, that Saiyan is rather perceptive. Whew. I picked a good one. Buu will be here in no time with him around.
Vegeta powers up to Super Saiyan 2 and lands a punch in Goku's face, giving the pair the order to get out of there, Gohan and Shin, whilst he begins the fight. Said battle between Goku and Vegeta is even more intense than in the original story. Vegeta, though, is trying to hold back somewhat against Goku, whose power is also being measured and tempered as well.
Why are you holding back, Kakarot? You wanted this battle for so long! Then why aren't you showing me all that right now?
I can say the same thing about you, Vegeta!
You're hiding stuff, as always!
I know you've been keeping things from us.
Vegeta is trying to throw this all off to the side, but Goku needs to say this. It's all coming out right now.
For years you've been telling us what to do, making yourself too comfortable. I could tolerate that, but the worst part of all of this is that you didn't even share. Together we could have had amazing battles and saved the world much faster than having you hoarding all the good stuff. The time chamber? What you did? I knew something was up. You got Dende to do your dirty work for you. You've also discovered a new power, haven't you? I can feel that you have.
Vegeta is getting sort of nervous, but then he thinks for a moment. Now what he's about to do could be risky, but Babidi is looking for power, and he's close. But if this works, he could stop Kakarot in his tracks.
You are right, Kakarot. There is more power. Not that you need me to tell you that. You found it too. Why don't you show me? I could do with an actual challenge.
This tipped Goku over the edge, And with Babidi not wanting to stop him because more power equals Buu arriving faster, Goku powers up to Super Saiyan 3. That spirit control training had gotten more effective with allowing Goku to actually even do it and giving a stronger yardstick. We then see Majin Goku at Super Saiyan 3 giving Vegeta all the more victorious expressions.
It's over, Vegeta! Come at me!
Vegeta sighs and accepts this invitation. This battle gets even more powerful, and Babidi is looking at the measuring equipment with glee.
How stupid are these Saiyans? Do they want Majin Buu to awaken?
What is Vegeta thinking? Gohan says, but he thinks for a second and clocks what Vegeta is trying to do. I got it! He's trying to burn Dad out! He knows something that Dad doesn't. I hope it works. Shin would quite wish Gohan would actually tell him exactly what's going on. I mean, he could do with some sort of relieving news right now. Goku is now on the front foot, and Vegeta is having to resist every single attack, aware that if he makes one false move, he will end up getting hurt, irrevocably so. He's just trying to take the hits as best as he can, not giving out any further energy.
Come on, fight me! Why are you letting me hit you? After all this time, I thought you would be keen to give me a fair fight. Don't tell me, Vegeta, you become a coward.
Ooh, this gets to Vegeta.
Don't you ever call me a coward!
Vegeta blasts with power to hiffle with his plan. He is going to knock some sense into this low-class scum, Super Saiyan 3 or not.
I hope you enjoyed that moment of dominance, Kakarot. You will not get the same chance again!
He rushes forward at full power, and the two are now equal, but the prince is not deterred. Babidi is laughing loudly as he's putting the finishing touches to the devices surrounding the sealed ball containing Buu. Gohan and Shin arrive to try and stop him, but his magic is enough to hold him that little longer. He can see that the gauge is way past 90%.
That prince. He couldn't handle being called names. His sensitive ego has cost this planet its future. Just as I thought.
He can watch Gohan and Shin banging against the invisible force field and then tends to his work. For another minute, the battle keeps going on, with Goku giving all that he's got, but Vegeta doesn't seem all that fazed.
Why the smile, Vegeta? You can't keep this up, you've lost!
No, I can keep this up. You, though,
Goku gets hit in the face and rolls back, wondering what suddenly happened.
are on the way out.
Goku is confused. He's trying to rush Vegeta, but the prince is dodging his attacks more and more with every single second.
What's going on?
This fight was over before it began. Babidi, or whatever your name is. You have no clue what an imbecile you are by selecting this disappointment for a vessel.
He can almost hear the wizard exclaiming.
Kakarot is powerful, there is no denying that. But he also has an incredible smarts in measuring his power out evenly. He is impressive, but you've gotten rid of all of that control, and in its place is a simple monkey, putty in my hands.
Vegeta then rushes forward and lands blow after blow against a weakening Goku.
That form is trash! No use to anyone. The real Kakarot would have known that. This, though, knows nothing. Nice try.
He then fires a big bang attack at Goku, and it's enough to send him flying to the ground, out cold, and out of Super Saiyan 3.
Kakarot, use this time to see sense. Work with me instead of against me when you wake up.
Thinking that he'd won, Vegeta lands at Goku's feet and takes one of the sensu beans in his bag, but then is met with a howling laugh from Babidi.
Not bad, Vegeta, but you're too late. I don't need that ape anymore. I have enough power to let Majin Buu free, thanks to you losing your temper just now.
What?
Vegeta then recalls him letting out all of his anger at being called a coward, and then curses himself profusely.
Nice try, as you would say, Vegeta, but now witness an even greater power unfurl.
Gohan and Shin are let through as the force field dissipates, and the device activates the ball, to which it grows, and then cracks open, letting out a pinkish gas. In the seconds that follow, everyone wonders what is happening, but then the gas forms into a person, or what looks like a person. With Buu now loose, Vegeta transmits into the zone, and Shin and Gohan are relieved to see him in one piece and back up to full power.
We're going to need everything we've got against that thing, whatever it is.
Vegeta looks up to Majin Buu and is bewildered at the simple nature of it.
That's supposed to be the greatest threat in the universe? It looks barely more mature than the dolt I just fought.
Shin then tells him that this nature is not fooling anyone. is not telling the whole story, and that it's capable of massive pain. But Vegeta isn't all that convinced still. Gohan then asks him what he did to Dad and whether he'll be an issue going forward.
It depends. If he has any control left inside that head of his, he will stay away or help. But I doubt it. Kakarot, even when told what to do, will defy others.
Kakarot slowly gets up, and for a moment, his mind is clear. He realizes what happened and feels terrible remorse for allowing Majin Buu to be released. He gets up and realizes that the bag containing the senzu beans he had was gone. Vegeta must have taken it to ensure that he didn't interfere. He tries to muster enough power to fly, but he's making very slow progress. But then, Babidi notices him, sensing his consciousness.
Goku, well done! You allow me to release Majin Buu. Come and see what your hard work has birthed.
He is then teleported to the battlefield and sees Buu playing with the rocks and just randomly milling about.
Don't let that impish demeanor fool you, Goku. This world will be the first to fall in its wake. I do thank you for your service, but your services are no longer required.
What do you mean? Goku lets out a roar of pain and doubles up. What happened to Spopovich is happening to Goku. His shout of pain is heard by Vegeta, Gohan, and Shin. They are watching Goku swell up and contort. Gohan lets out a shout trying to help, but Shin holds him back. No, Gohan, you can't get close. You might be affected too. Vegeta is horrified. Why didn't he run? He's doomed himself by doing this. With his last ounce of rational thought left, Goku is trying to figure out what to do as his brain is being crushed by the pressure of Babidi's magic. He has no choice. He resorts to instant transmission, trying to move his growing arms as quickly as he can, arriving in front of Babidi, who doesn't realize what he's up to. What? Goku then grabs Babidi by the waist and powers up as far as he can. How dare you hurt my roar! Goku immediately powers up to Super Saiyan 3 for a split second and is covered by a huge ball of light containing Babidi as well, unable to get loose. The explosion is fierce and is enough to catch Buu somewhat. Goku and Babidi are gone, as is a chunk of Buu, and he's hurt and angry. He turns to Vegeta and rushes him. Vegeta was utterly bewildered at what he had just witnessed. Goku had given his life so that he might have a chance at winning, even though they had their disagreements, but it hadn't quite worked. He cursed Kakarot's weakness, but still, he remembered. He was going through utter pain and suffering right until the end, and he still wished to help. But on the other hand, at last, he knew better to get in his way, the legendary Super Saiyan's way. He didn't have much more time to pontificate about this turn of events because he was then met in the face by a massive yellow gloved fist. Buu had been hurt by the massive blast, which had been even more powerful than Vegeta's final explosion in the original, seeing as Goku was at Super Saiyan 3 and basically going all out. Buu looked a little ragged around the edges, but he was still strong enough to land a blow on Vegeta. However, the prince felt like here, he could hold his own. He wasn't on the back foot against this compromised creature. As this was going on, Gohan and Shin are watching completely devastated. Gohan had watched his father blow himself up in pain and in agony, whereas Shin had failed to do his duty and had let Majin Buu out into the world to do who knows what. Gohan simply collapses to the ground, lamenting his lateness, bursting into tears. Shin is on the spot, trying to process what to do next. I don't understand it. Why would Majin Buu toy with Vegeta like this? It doesn't make any sense. The monster I remember would just tear through him and blow up the planet the second he had the chance. There's something not right here. But in any case, he's a danger to us all, and Goku's no longer here to help. He turns to Gohan, but he is still reeling from what he had witnessed, really playing up to the whole vibe of the sagas being more grotesque than past arcs, eh? The rest of the Dragon team had been busy though. They sensed all of this go down from afar, and with the aid of Bulma, they rushed to collect the Dragon Balls even before Goku's full sacrifice. And when that happened, they tasted it, and Goten was completely blown away. He was inconsolable, and he had to be excused to go home to grieve with Chi-Chi. But then when they actually get there, they remember, thanks to Krillin, Dragon Balls. They had multiple wishes to work with here. Also, you don't have the whole stadium thing with Majin Vegeta just killing random citizens and stuff like that. There's less collateral damage here. The battle between Vegeta and Buu continues, with the latter still quite angry at Vegeta for hurting him like that for seemingly no reason.
Why you mean to Buu? Buu done nothing to hurt you!
Vegeta stops in his tracks. What kind of childish question was that? Was this the being that had seemingly caused such chaos and mayhem all those eons ago? This? It hardly looked the part of a major destroyer, nor did it speak like one. It acted like a spoiled brat. This got the attention of Shin as well. It got him thinking. Now that he thought about it, this was not the same Majin Buu of legend. It looked like he was trying to remember from all those millions of years ago. The form right before he was sealed away still. The same form that had come about when the Grand Supreme Kai had been absorbed by Buu. It made sense now. Gohan! He shakes Gohan's shoulder. The man had calmed down a little bit, sensing that his friends had scattered, presumably to find Dragon Balls bringing Goku back. Now a little more composed, he turns to Shin, the Supreme Kai beaming with his own thought, explaining that his predecessor had, prior to sealing Buu away, been consumed by this monster. It had changed its personality as a result to a very large degree, and explained for his more round and impish disposition. Maybe there's a way perhaps to, well, reason with Buu? Shin says in desperation. Gohan isn't all that convinced. I don't wish to sound critical, Supreme Kai, but how can you reason with something you said was pure evil? Shin seems even more convinced now with his own thoughts. That's the point, Gohan. He's not pure evil anymore. Or at least I hope he's not. Some part of my former master is in there somewhere, meaning that there is some good inside of him. I only hope that I'm right. With that, Shin gulps, trying to pluck up the courage, and flies up towards the battle. Gohan tries to stop him, but he is met with an icy stare from Shin. Yes, we are giving this guy some Dragon Balls for once, back when we thought he was cool. Gohan then lets Shin carry on. Meanwhile, Vegeta is getting all the more frustrated with this bizarre creature, but then he spots the purple Kai heading his way. He launches a somersault and then a double kick to Buu's stomach, sending him flying backwards and spinning around. But before Buu can launch back at the meanie, Shin hails Buu with a lot of nervous tension in his voice. Hello, Buu? Buu turns around and sees Shin.
Who are you? You want her Buu too?
No, far from it. I just wanted to say hello?
Oh!
Buu turns around and looks at Shin properly.
Hello!
He says quietly. Shin feels like, good start, it might be working. He presses on, whereas Vegeta is over in the distance watching in disbelief. What kind of plan was this? Shin then asks Buu about where he thinks he is right now. He shrugs and he has no idea. That yellow wizard, do you remember him?
Oh yeah, Buu does. He looked funny and was really shouty. He shouted a lot. Not nice to Buu.
Buu nodded as if to reassert his thoughts. Right, Shin said, looking more as if he were talking to maybe, instead of a galactic villain that killed billions, a toddler. Starting to get a read that his supposition might be correct, it might have legs. He was really mean to you, wasn't he, Buu?
Yeah!
Buu nodded again, looking proud.
Buu don't like people who are mean to him. Like that spiky man over there. Buu wanna hurt him bad!
He points without even looking to Vegeta, which makes the prince curse under his breath. What? What is this fool doing? Who does he think he is? He's taking every fiber of his being not to just launch himself at Buu right now and be done with it. It's okay. That mean imp is gone, says Shin. My friend got rid of him for you, but I'm afraid he's gone too. Buu tilts his head like a curious pupper.
Oh, Buu sorry your friend gone, but Buu glad potato gone!
He rests his hand on his hips and triumphantly laughs, looking happy. Gohan is watching all of this too down below, and decides to actually help Shin. He then goes up as well. Hello, he steels himself to say, despite seeing Buu being a part of Goku's death, but remembering that it was Babidi actually that made Goku suffer, not this thing. I'm Shin's friend, Gohan.
Hello, Gohan. What do you want?
Well, that friend that got rid of Babidi, we can bring him back for you if you want, so you can, play with him? Gohan shrugs as if he's hoping that his part of the plan might work.
Play?
Buu mulls this over for a few seconds, and then beams.
Yeah, Buu wanna play. Can I play with the spiky man
He points again in Vegeta's vague direction. Gohan then waves his hands. No, you don't want to play with him. He's way too cranky. My dad, he's really fun to play with. He's even stronger than that guy too. Way stronger. If you can just give us a few hours, we can bring him back so you can meet him. How does that sound? Buu mulls this over again for a bit and then nods.
Okay, Buu will wait, but I want to play with Spiky Man a bit.
Gohan and Shin look to each other, and then Gohan flies over to Vegeta, telling him not to go too far with Buu.
What? Are you crazy? No way will I be part of such a ridiculous plan! I don't need Kakarot to finish this thing off! I can do it myself!
Gohan tells him to just spar with him for a little bit. Don't go too far, whilst the others gather the Dragon Balls and bring Goku back. They can then figure out a plan when he is back and recovered from his ordeal with Babidi. Vegeta curses and complies. For now. With Buu satisfied, he waits patiently for a little bit, before then taking his fancy with Vegeta. The Dragon Balls are successfully gathered by the gang, and Shenron is summoned. Their first wish is to bring back Goku, and then to fully recover his mind from what Babidi had done to him. As for the third wish, they try to wish for Buu to be sealed again, thinking they could do it, but the dragon informs them that that is beyond his power, seeing as he's basically the strongest magical thing in the universe, far more powerful than anything he can do. As they try to think of a proper third wish, the first wish activates, and the second. Goku is wished back to the same spot that he'd blown himself up, seeing Vegeta and Buu up above play fighting. With his mind now clear as well and healed from what Babidi had done to it right before he exploded, he gets his bearings before Gohan and Shin rush over to him. Goku, you're okay! Yeah, I think so. That was really scary earlier.
Everything alright here? Why is Vegeta playing with that pink thing?
Well, that's Majin Buu, Goku. Only not quite the same evil beast that I thought he would be. Part of my benevolent former master is in there, and for some reason it's making him more agreeable and infantile. If we play our cards right, we can keep him from destroying Earth, and maybe the entire universe. All we have to do is keep him happy. Goku nods, and has just the idea to do so. He flies up to Buu and hellos him.
Hey there, my name's Goku. Nice to meet you, Buu.
Buu turns around and completely blanks Vegeta.
Are you a friend others say will come?
Goku nods and promises to play with Buu, which makes the genie very happy. He powers up to Super Saiyan 3, and this excites Buu and their fight begins. Buu is very much on the back foot though, but he doesn't seem to mind all that much since he's now fighting for fun. He's laughing like a maniac, which normally would make Goku nervous as to why, but given the context of the situation, he's quite frankly relieved that Buu isn't on the warpath. Meanwhile, Vegeta is watching all of this unfold, and he is getting angrier and angrier. This power seems to have gotten Super Saiyan 3 even more powerful than it was when he had fought Goku earlier. Not only did the Saiyan Power Zenkai boost help it, but now Goku was back in full control, showing what he could really do with his skills in this power. It made Vegeta feel absolutely inferior, and he hated that. He thought this power was a gimmick, and that he would outclass it with his own legendary power. But here he was, being shown up to be an accessory fighting a villain who is no more mature than a mewling whelp. Down on the ground, neither Gohan or Shin are paying attention to what Vegeta is doing, mostly sulking. They are hoping that Buu will get tired and accept the status quo, either promising not to do anything bad, or at least maybe leaving Earth alone for the time being. It was all actually looking pretty good, and the two of them looked thoroughly satisfied with themselves, with their idea, that they never thought would work. Well, it would work, had Vegeta played ball throughout. In a fit of blind rage and indignation, Vegeta launched himself at Buu at full force and landed a heavy blow to his back, sending him screaming to the ground. And if you guys thinking that this is out of character that Vegeta wouldn't do something so stupid, Kid Buu? Vegeta! Correlation! Goku spots Vegeta and exclaims what he is trying to do. Vegeta had had enough.
How dare you show me up, Kakarot! I don't care that you're back to normal! You are forgetting your place! I am the legendary Super Saiyan, not you!
Goku is dumbfounded with this prince's arrogance. Still, after all this time, even when things are going their way.
Don't be stupid, Vegeta! Are you seriously still going on about that legend? Is that all your mind can come up with right now? We are this close to stopping Buu before he could hurt anyone! Are you willing to risk all of it for your outdated pride?
This was the wrong thing to say. Vegeta is reeling from being told that his legend was stupid and pride was wrong to have right now. He powers up and growls at Goku before starting to fight him with everything that he's got. The two spar up above as Buu emerges from the rubble to see Goku, his brand new friend, being beaten up, pummeled by the same guy that had beaten him up. Thanks to the exertion of Super Saiyan 3, Goku is now on the back foot. He then sees his new friend being held into the ground looking badly hurt. He rushes over to Goku and is getting angry. He's getting the red mist. He then looks up to see Vegeta, that same spiky man causing trouble again. He is growling with rage. He thinks about maybe healing his friend, but before he can do so, he loses it. He goes completely mad, forming a mysterious cloud above himself. This Saiyan had angered him so much and hurt his friend so bad, all of these feelings happening at once, something strange was happening. Before anyone could process what was going on, the cloud started to form something. A creature similar to Buu, but only taller, greyer, more menacing looking. Evil Buu had arrived. Good Buu is staring back at his evil self and is very confused at what he had done. Sure, he had tried to expel his negative energy in order to keep his cool in front of his friend, but what he had created was something absolutely baffling.
You Buu?
The tall grey figure didn't reply back. He just simply stared down at the small tubby of frame. Shin, though, knew what this was. He could sense it. No way! Majin Buu has split! Goku, having caught his breath, asked what that actually meant. The evil half of Buu has manifested itself into its own form, though it doesn't look like the one I remember from before. With Shin looking at Evil Buu some more, trying to get a guess at what he was, exactly, Vegeta chose this moment to step in and save the day himself. He got in the way of the two Buus and gazed at the evil one. Am I supposed to be afraid of this thing? He couldn't sense an increase in power from this creation, actually. In fact, it was weaker than the single Majin Buu. Granted, this new lifeform had the majority of the energy within him, but the fatter Buu had held on to a decent amount, and this Buu was not in the mood to hurt Vegeta, having expunged his malicious thoughts into this new one. That was all in that one. Goku was desperately shouting at Vegeta to back off, but the prince ignored Goku, of course, after having dismissed him for showing off some more and once again trying to usurp his dominance. Evil Buu, though, spoke.
Saiyan, talk too much.
With a swish of his hand, he swatted at Vegeta, sending him into the ground, and began to wail on the prince. The focus of Buu's ire from just a few moments ago. Goku dared to approach the larger Buu and ask if he is okay.
Yeah, Buu okay. Not sure what happened to Buu.
We're not either. What's going on, you think? Goku could sense that the evil thoughts had indeed gone to that other version of Buu, this one actually being innocent, so he felt a little safer around this one.
That Buu bad.
He looked very seriously at this fight. The fight progressed, and Vegeta was starting to power up more and more, and thusly turning the fight back into his favour. For now. Of course, this was making him grandstand like he would usually do.
Ha! Your flabby friend doomed you to failure by splitting. You should have remained part of him. At least in that state you might have stood a chance against me.
Shin spotted he was getting too close to Buu. Careful, Vegeta! Stay back!
Shut up! This one is mine! I shall put an end to this thing for you. Then you can get on with your miserable existence out in the heavens.
Evil Buu smiled horrifically.
Kai, right. You should be careful. Huh? What's that?
Evil Buu then used his transfiguration beam on Vegeta and turned him into chocolate. Good Buu face-palmed.
Oh no! Buu don't like that.
Evil Buu was laughing at the prince's foolishness.
What a clown. Now Buu eat you up.
But before he could eat the Vegeta candy bar, a stretchy arm approached and grabbed it. Buu had grabbed it from his evil counterpart and stuck his tongue out in defiance.
Candy bad for you, bad man!
Evil Buu grimaced with frustration at having lost his prize. He then stretched out his own arm and trying to get it back, and we were now in the midst of not a beam struggle, but a massive tug of war between two elasticated arms. Well, this is the Buu saga after all. and Goku tried to break up the fight, but Shin prevented him from getting involved.
Why not? I can grab Vegeta like that and stop the evil guy.
We can't risk what happened to Vegeta happening to you. You're too valuable for our cause. Without you, there'd be no chance at stopping Majin Buu. There has to be another way, thought Gohan, who had regained his cool. We can't just sit here and do nothing. But before he could finish that sentence, Good Buu told them all to shut up with their pontificating, and then he lost his focus because of it. Evil Buu used his greater power to slap his rival's hand away, and he retrieved his prize. Without wasting any more seconds, Evil Buu swallowed the Candy Prince whole, and felt utterly smug at his achievement. Shin, of course, was horrified. He was uncertain as to what would happen now. This wasn't what he had imagined, but sadly, Vegeta's behavior had led to this. He, through his Saiyan pride, had doomed everyone in a very bizarre and yet very real way. Evil Buu started to glow pinkish white as his body started to change shape, reflecting the influence from the candy bar. He started to resemble a humanoid more, thanks to Vegeta's influence, as well as shorten in height, because Vegeta. His clothes mutated into a blue top, much like what the prince was wearing, but only with baggier trousers. His head changed to be more spiky, and his antennas slicked backwards to maximize the illusion of being the prince. In any case, Buugeta was complete, and his appearance was very much that of the person he had now just consumed. It was almost as if he had risen to the surface because of his pride. Goku didn't know what to make of this.
Man, this is crazy. He not only looks like Vegeta, but his energy now feels a bit like him too.
Good Buu looked to Goku, his now only friend with a very furrowed brow. Buu was trying to think of something. He was hatching a plan.
Goku, Buu have idea.
Not now, Buu. I gotta stop Vegeta, or whatever he is, before he can harm anyone. You wait here with the Supreme Kai. With that, Goku rushed off to fight Buugeta himself, which left Buu next to Shin, only with Gohan as support. This was very awkward given the history between these two. Goku landed in front of Buugeta and tried to talk him out from doing anything bad.
Oh, Kakarot,
said the creature, with a deeper but yet recognizable lilt to Vegeta.
You are moronic to come anywhere near me. This Saiyan I ate is very mad at you. It has only fueled my power to even greater heights. To think I wanted to eat that thing that was once me. Oh no. This one was much more tasty. A specimen. It wants to hurt you. Badly. Will you give it what it wants? Said Buugeta.
Goku had no choice but to power up to Super Saiyan 3, but Gohan could sense that he was struggling.
Dad, no!
Wait, Buu have idea to help.
Not now!
Gohan powered up and rushed in to help his father. Now alone, Shin looked terrified. What would Buu do now that he was on his own with no one there to stop him from getting his way from back in the day, his revenge? Well, it actually turned out he didn't do anything except pout.
Buu had really awesome idea, but no one listened to Buu.
I can listen. Buu looked at Shin and pondered for a moment.
Okay, Buu tell you, but promise not to run away.
Shin nervously nodded. The fight between Goku and Vegeta began with Goku powered up to Super Saiyan 3, but feeling that this might have been a bad idea. Vegeta was clearly toying with him and reveling in the prince's internal resentment, but also being consumed by his overwhelming pride and arrogance. It was a big one. It didn't help that this evil Buu was also quite self-obsessed with his own power.
Buu can sense your fading power, Kakarot. You may be powerful, but you are foolish to rely on that strength. It has failed you, and soon you will regret ever crossing my path.
He whacked Goku out of the way, and Goku could feel his power starting to really drain, to the point where if he stayed in Super Saiyan 3, he would surely lose. He had to power down for the moment, but luckily for him, Gohan arrived to stand alongside his father. Dad, go and rest. I'll hold this guy off.
But Gohan, you can't stop him. Vegeta's influence is too strong.
Yes, Kakarot, run away. Know your place.
Gohan stepped forward and ordered Buugeta to take him seriously.
All right, I'll fight you, boy. You intrigue me, but you will lose, you know that.
Gohan powered up to Super Saiyan 2 and their fight began. In the midst of this, Goku was trying to keep a hold on it, but with him powered down to his base form and being tired out, he couldn't really see much of the fight, really only seeing snippets of it. Then, a tap on his shoulder greeted him. It was Buu and Shin, looking quite interested. Goku, you're gonna want to listen to this. I don't know why we didn't do this sooner.
Yeah, Buu don't know either.
He then looked almost like he was harboring some kind of resentment to Goku.
Okay, how can I trust you though?
Buu then placed his hand on Goku's chest, and in seconds, Goku could feel himself recovering from his injuries and his fatigue. Buu had seemingly healed him, with no other ramifications, almost like Dende would. Goku was amazed by this and felt better than ever.
Whoa, you can do that? Mm-hmm. Now will you listen?
Goku nodded, and Buu then explained his plan. Gohan was giving it everything he had in this battle, but it was proving to be more than his body could cope with for the long run. Buugeta was letting this fight go on, wanting to rub it in for the young man to teach him a lesson. You see, by absorbing Vegeta, Buu had started to become consumed himself by what the prince was feeling and thinking. And all he thought of these days was how great he was and how he was the best, despite the fact that people could actually improve naturally. It didn't occur to him. He didn't want to know that, and instead chose to blindly see the direct thing right in front of him.
Do you understand now? No matter how hard you try to defeat me, you cannot. You are no match for me.
Gohan was really trying his best to stay in the fight, but then he kept thinking. This thing was now more Vegeta than Buu. Listen to yourself!
Huh? What do you mean?
By eating Vegeta, Buu, you're no longer Buu. You think you're better now? Nobody's ego is greater than his. He's taking you for a ride.
What? No! Impossible! I'm Buu, the prince of all...
He then grabbed his mouth and looked horrified at what he said. Told ya, said Gohan with a smile. Who's really in charge of your own body? You should have stuck with the other one. Speaking of the other one, Buu was ready to face off against his own self. Feet landing on the ground, and Gohan turned around to see not Goku or Buu, but a mixture of the two. Huh? What the... Dad? Gohan had no idea what was going on, but Shin arrived to explain. It's alright, Gohan. Goku is fully on board with this. Buu was trying to say that he could host our powers and absorb us temporarily to fight back. Your father offered him up, and they are now fused together as one entity. It's neither Buu or Goku anymore, and yet it is. I don't understand it, but Buku, as we should now call him, stepped forward to continue the train of thought, sounding a bit like Goku. It means that you're done! You mistake! He motioned a thumbs down, and this both angered and mystified the other Buu fusion.
Is that what we become? Relying on other beings to fight our own battles? If it weren't for this power and drive, I'd expel this thing and fight you by myself.
That's the point! You're too reliant on Vegeta's influence! You're gonna lose! Goku and Buu are friends, and friends fight as one! You never will! And the two stare each other down some more before sparks begin to fly between them. Sure enough, it was Buku who blinked first and started the battle. As for said fight, it was going to be quite the spectacle with this power on tap. Both of the Saiyans' contingents were not used to having the stretchy part of them being an element of the Majin Buu experience to be, of course. This was a new thing to take in. With Vegeta's ego controlling Buugeta, this did lead to some rather smart and shrewd moves from time to time, but this was in the minority in comparison to the original version of the prince. Here, he was determined to believe that he was the best around, and the already evil Buu had this level of self-belief too, which made this entity rather intimidating when things were going its way. But then again, Good Buu and Goku had an edge which would prove itself rather quickly into the fight. With this desire to win against this evil Buu being rather mutual, Buku had little more synergy going for them. With this cohesive nature came another thing. Buku was willing to try anything and use their natural instincts combined to provide more unusual and surprising twists, whilst also making the most of Goku's natural intelligence and raw knowledge. Shin, who'd normally be terrified at this sort of thing, well, I mean anything actually, was starting to see something rather impressive. I can't believe this, says Gohan. Are we really seeing Majin Buu fighting on our side? Not quite, Gohan.
Majin Buu is definitely the enemy here. But the larger one, the one with Goku, he reminds me of my former master, the Grand Supreme Kai. It's almost like the battle back then is being replayed before our very eyes. Dad, says Gohan, looking at the pink representation of his father, who was rather busy reliving the Goku-Vegeta fight from back in the day of the Saiyan saga. As you could probably tell, this was like a rather taffy-tastic iteration of the Majin Vegeta and Goku fight from the original story. The only difference here is that Buu is being used as a medium for this tussle instead of them wholesale. And this is where things start to get rather curious, and also where Buugeta starts to fall onto his back foot, jelly or otherwise. Like we inferred last time, Buugeta was having to deal with the notion that his own sense of self was being dominated by the being he'd absorbed like a good snack, thinking he was just going to get power from it. I mean, that was actually pretty scary. But the initial revelation of Buku had temporarily pushed this out of his mind for a little while. But over the course of this now fight, Evil Buu was starting to notice this come back more and more. He was losing control of his self, and that was scary because Buu is the id incarnate. Losing that, that's the scariest thing he can think of. With Goku and Buu working together right from the get-go, they had everything on the table, and thusly, there were no nasty surprises to be had between them. Goku could see what was going on with Buugeta, and thusly see Vegeta entirely coming to the surface. They were effectively just fighting Vegeta only with Buu's skin. And with the fight progressing and Buugeta becoming more and more predictable, this exacerbating itself, this was making the prince's temper flare more and more, and thusly become more himself and less like Buu, becoming the dominant personality. All of this pushing Buu into the background used Vegeta's ego to their advantage. Internally, Goku told Buu to roll with this, and inside the sack, Goku was talking to the inner representation of Good Buu.
All you gotta do is get him in a bad mood,
said Goku with a wink, and Good Buu smiled.
Bad Buu deserve it.
On the outside, Buku was toying with Buugeta with every move and getting him rattled, and the plan was very much working. Buugeta started to roar with frustration.
You freak! What is your deal with trying to mess around? This is meant to be a battle for the ages. Why must you ruin this for me?
Who's that talking?
You idiot! You're talking to the Prince of all Saiyans!
And there was no retort. Vegeta had seemingly assumed control over the mind of Evil Buu now. Shin and Gohan gasped. Impossible. Buu's been completely beaten down? He's still inside Buu's body. How did Vegeta do it? Gohan laughed. We've been dealing with this arrogance for years now. It's what kept him going for all this time. What you've seen since you got here is a small sliver of what we've been subjected to ever since we got back from Namek and he became a Super Saiyan. He's got the power of arrogance, and the evil part of Buu clearly did not expect that. Mix them together, Vegeta wins, hands down. Did Vegeta mean to do this? To help us? Neutralize Buu? Gohan shook his head. Probably not, but you never know. They looked back to the fight, Buku smiling.
Good. Now listen to me, Vegeta.
Goku's voice coming out of Buku's mouth for this one, the Saiyan talking directly to his frenemy, and Vegeta responded.
What is it, Kakarot? I know it's you talking.
This is Vegeta's voice coming out. Again, no sign of Buu present.
Listen, you've got Buu right where we want him. For once, work with us. We can get rid of this threat right now.
Vegeta smiled.
Now why would I do that? Is this your idea of giving up? Because you know that you're not strong enough to beat me?
Damn it, Vegeta! When will you understand that you being Super Saiyan first out of us does not give you the right to be so stubborn? This isn't the time for that. If you don't help out, then not only will the Earth be in danger, but the entire universe will. I've seen things, Vegeta. Buu showed me terrible things. We can't let this monster loose anymore.
Vegeta remained in silence, and then started to launch attack after attack like Goku hadn't even talked. He clearly wasn't going to listen. This angered Goku severely, and the fight grew more and more intense, the earth shaking beneath them, despite them fighting in the middle of the air quite a ways up. Gohan punched the ground out of frustration. Clearly, Vegeta knew what he was doing, and still chose to fight on, despite having a very precious opportunity here. If they weren't careful, the aforementioned opportunity may well be squandered.
I know what I'm doing, Kakarot. This body is merely a vessel to test you. I'm not gonna let you wriggle out of this one. We are ending this right here. I will prove to you that I am the strongest of all Saiyans, not you.
Buku was grimacing. Good Buu on the inside was looking at Goku on the inside, who was both crying out of anger and rage. And he felt sorry for Goku. He tapped him on the shoulder, offering his support. Understanding how angry this must be making him feel right now, he could feel it himself. Oh, Buu, this goes way beyond that. However, it seems that deep down inside Buugeta, something else was stirring. In the middle of this blitzing battle, yellow and gold sparks flying from the scene, Buugeta was starting to slowly but almost imperceptibly corrupt. Good Buu then could spot this though, and poked Goku on the cheek.
Look! Other Buu looking funny! That Buu got real bad tummy ache!
Buku spotted then the other amalgamation, noticing it was getting very wavy and twisted all of a sudden. What was going on? I mean, he didn't have to wait long to find out though. Buugeta stopped in midair, gripping his body with a sudden shout of pain, like he had been eating a very bad and dodgy bit of food. Then, almost at once, without warning, Vegeta was hurled out of Buu's mouth, falling to the ground in a heap below. And also, as that was going on, Vegeta slowly began to morph back into the skinny Evil Buu from before, the form struggling to breathe, resuming control over his mind, finally, his eyes looking though utterly horrified. Clearly, this had been a very terrifying experience for him.
You tricked Buu, you freak.
The Evil Buu hissed at Buku.
No tricks. That one down there is not somebody you want to try and manipulate. He did that to you, not us. You bit off more than you could chew, Buu. Now it's time to end this.
Gohan flew up to help his fused father, and together they blasted Evil Buu out of the sky. They weren't giving him a chance. They had done it. Thanks to the combined Kamehameha and a weakened Evil Buu, who had no time to react, they had won the day. And yet some part of Buu still remained. Buku, once he had made sure the enemy was truly gone, landed on the ground next to Vegeta's unconscious body. Shin was looking jubilant. You did it, Goku!
No,
Buku shook his head.
we did it.
Shin checked himself and nodded. Yes, of course. My apologies. They all looked at Vegeta, who was slowly coming to. When the prince looked up from where he was, he could see three beings scowling at him.
Why are you chumps looking so angry? You got your wish, didn't you? Buu's gone. Well, half of him is. Kakarot, why must you persist with this charade?
Gohan sighed. Same old Vegeta. You can't even let us have this. Shin was looking sternly at the prince as well. We got extremely lucky today. The prince's ego was too much for Buu to handle, and so he couldn't stand it anymore. Once ejected, he was relieved to be free, but not understand that he was now weaker again and in the palm of our hands. Did you know this, Vegeta? When you were inside him?
Stop it. No. That Buu is a fragile being on the inside. No personality at all. Only evil thoughts. And that can only get you so far. Without the drive and sense of self to go with it, you will ultimately fail. He left the door open for me practically. You should be thanking me.
Buku then grabbed Vegeta by the throat and clenched it tight, the prince coughing and spluttering, Goku's voice coming back to the fore.
This ends here, Vegeta,
said a mad Goku.
For too long, we've had to put up with your constant bleating about being the strongest.
Just because you got something first. Well, we're sick of it. And quite frankly, we're sick of you.
Vegeta was looking scared. He knew that in this state, he couldn't really counter Buku's combined power. And both Shin and Gohan, they weren't trying to stop Buku just yet. They too were echoing the fusion's sentiment.
Kakarot, stop.
Buku didn't. The Good Buu's childish nature overriding Goku for once. This Buu felt angry for his friend with what he had to go through and so chose to provide some catharsis in the only way he knew how. But then Goku snapped back to reality. Oh, there goes sanity. He let go of the prince, and said being fell back to the floor, gasping for air, looking intensely frantic. He had been properly schooled this time, and as Vegeta was regaining his composure,
Buu and Goku chose then to split from each other, sensing no threat, and the pair shook hands.
That was fun, Buu, but I think once is enough for me.
Buu nodded.
That was fun. Buu never been happier.
With a now satisfied Majin, Shin then started to think, what were they going to do with the genie?
Goku, as much as I'm happy to be rid of that monster, what do we do with this version of Buu?
Goku knew what to do though, having shared a mind of sorts with him.
Well, he's plenty strong. Also, he's got a good heart, really. He's just a little impulsive. And boy, he's got an appetite. I bet he could eat more than even me.
Gohan laughed at that one.
There's no evil in him?
Well, not really, but he's got a temper. For now, he can stay with Chi-Chi and I, until we can figure out a more long-term thing.
You know where to get good food for Buu?
Uh-huh. Chi-Chi's a really good cook.
Buu beamed.
Yay! Buu had family! But what do we do with Nasty Man?
He had scowled again at Vegeta. They looked back at him.
He'll be fine. Hopefully he'll have realized that things aren't like before. We're all stronger now.
With that, Buu set about building a nice little house outside of the Son family residence, sort of like a little outhouse like he had with Hercule, and life began to settle back down again. Because of this, Gohan never learnt to use his ultimate potential since there was no need for it to go to the sacred world of the Kais, or at least not yet, and Buu became a very good friend to Goku, them training together quite regularly. Chi-Chi though did insist that Buu's manners had to improve if we were going to be living with them rent-free. It was a bit of an uphill struggle trying to teach Buu good manners, but he really liked Chi-Chi's food, so he chose to comply. He wanted more. That, and he knew that Goku really liked this lady, so it was best to be nice. As for Vegeta, he was smarting a lot from this slight against him. So he chose to train harder than ever before. He even pushed for that Super Saiyan 3 power that Kakarot used when he was under Babidi's control. He would perfect that more, regain the foothold. It hurt. It hurt a lot to see his entire world and potential be stripped away from him like that. Being pummeled by Gohan, Goku, and that pink blob of do-goodery. He had vowed to get stronger than Goku and that stupid Super Saiyan 3 power. He had investigated that strength for himself and found it to be utterly useless. Granted, he could master Super Saiyan 2 perhaps, but that would end up with diminishing returns in the long run, and he knew it. He had to find a whole other level of power that not even Goku could attain with ease. Something that would differ himself from the other Saiyan and prove to him and everyone, and for once and for all, he was the best. That Supreme Kai guy. He must have some kind of hidden training on whatever world he lived on. He had all of these different techniques and powers. Surely he could use some of that. He called out to the heavens, shouting to Shin to come here and wish to atone for its sins and stubborn nature. Basically, he's just going, "Oh, Supreme Kai, I'm so sorry." And sure enough, because Shin's that gullible, he found Vegeta shouting on his crystal ball. He was in a good mood too with the people of Earth, and even if the person who wished to speak with him was one of the more belligerent folk, he still obliged. Within a few minutes, Shin had teleported in with Kibito and heard Vegeta out. He chose to come up with some cockamamie story about him wanting to make amends with what he had done, putting people in jeopardy, coming up with some kind of power to help save the people of Earth. He had also told Shin that he had indeed helped with undermining Evil Buu, and that if they were to ensure that no other threat would ever dare harm Earth again, they would definitely need to ensure that their best fighters were all on their best paths to greatness, and this is what Vegeta had in mind for himself. Kibito wasn't sure about this, but Shin, who was the very naive and yet forgiving kind and also the boss, chose to give the prince the benefit of the doubt and grant him training. Oh dear. He had something in mind for him that would probably humble him in the extreme, he thought. That'll show him. It'll only show you what, mate. When they used instantaneous movement to get off of Earth, Goku felt Vegeta's ki disappear from the planet all of a sudden. Well, that was weird. Had he gone off world to train somewhere? Oh well, he thought. At least he was out of their hair for the time being. It was good to be rid of him for a while, because Vegeta's place within the group, it wasn't good. So they chose not to bother investigating. They were all just grateful for the brief interlude with the prince no longer nearby to chastise them. When Shin, Kibito and Vegeta arrived on the sacred world of the Kais, the latter underwent the Z-Sword training, which sure enough led to the Elder Kai being freed from his prison, to the surprise of everybody. Appreciative of being let out, he offered to Vegeta his own kind of training that could unlock his current potential, as a thank you for being released. Granted, he found the prince to be a rather cantankerous fellow, but the sheer relief of being out of that blasted sword after 1,000 years? That was too much to pass up. Besides, he might end up being locked away again had he not agreed to do this. Who knows where that cat was right now who put him in there? He better make the most of his freedom, he thought. The 25-hour training session began, with Vegeta in the center of the Elder Kai's dancing. He found this to be extremely irritating, and the only thing that kept him going and sitting right there was the thought of what was on the other side. And hey, even if this turned out to be a complete waste of time and it yielded nothing, it was only a day. He had all the time in the world to find ways to beat down Kakarot. And at the end of it, the Elder Kai asked Vegeta to stand up and go Super Saiyan. But he couldn't. Or at least, he didn't exhibit the typical visual. He had powered up, sure, but he looked the same, still with his jet black hair.
What's going on? What have you done to me, old man? Explain!
Elder Kai, who had seen his fair share of angry warriors over the years, waved this concern aside.
Relax, kiddo. I did what you asked. Unlocked your potential. You are now in your ultimate form. Your ultimate potential.
Vegeta looked at his hands and decided to make use of this supposed power. He fired an energy blast around the world and proceeded to try and catch it on the other side. Kibito, the Elder Kai, and Shin found this extremely weird and also very scary, because this, if it went wrong, could cause a lot of damage. Vegeta turned around and caught the beam. It was much stronger than he had expected. Sure, he could override it and cancel it out, but it took considerably more effort and energy in which to do so. The old man was right. He had gotten stronger by simply just sitting there for a day. Just imagine what he could do if he undertook more training here. He chose to keep up the grateful act for the old man's kindness. The elder of the Kais was completely unaware of being played, and Shin was just happy to now have a wiser head to talk to in times of need or enquiry. And so, in the 4 years before Super, Vegeta spent his time on the sacred world of the Kais, training every single day with himself, the Elder Kai, and Shin to perfect his newfound potential and maybe enhance it even more than had ever been seen. The Elder Kai had never seen someone so focused and intelligent and wanting to better himself. Right now, the prince didn't miss Super Saiyan at all. As he kept honing his skills, he was using less and less stamina to maintain this power. He was understanding it more and more, and in turn, it took much less effort to use. Kakarot was left in the dust, he thought. So now, during this peacetime, and Goku just going about his business and everyone just relieved that Vegeta wasn't there, Beerus woke up. He indeed finds Goku training on King Kai's planet, the original destined Super Saiyan god in his mind, and finds him to be woefully underpowered. Having been beaten considerably, Goku then got worried about what this thing could do if it got to Earth and focus on it. Maybe destroy it? Vegeta was nowhere to be seen, and hadn't showed up on Earth since he randomly disappeared that one night 4 years ago. It hadn't occurred to him to ask as to where he had gone, ask the Supreme Kai or anyone like that. The entire Dragon team had just been so happy to be rid of him, they hadn't even bothered to check. Now they needed him. Desperately. Back on said world, Vegeta was doing his regular training routine as per usual when Shin called him over, looking all flustered.
Vegeta, terrible news! Lord Beerus has woken up, and he's looking for something.
That name. He had been hoping he'd never hear that name again. But there it was. Beerus had returned, and he had come from him, he thought. Oh, not exactly, Jeets, but whatever floats your boat.
He's met Goku already, and completely beaten him to within an inch of his life,
said Shin with extreme fear.
He might go after his friends on Earth in a fit of frustration. We got to do something!
Vegeta then laughed, to which Shin was really bemused by.
Don't you understand the situation, Vegeta? Your world could be at risk!
But after his laughter was over, he stepped up, choosing to be
the hero. I knew this day would come. Kakarot has gotten soft, obviously. He clearly hasn't trained in my absence. I guess I have to go and clean up their mess.
Inside, the prince was scared to face Beerus, but he felt that this power that he had could be enough to do something against the cat. At least more than what Kakarot had done. Had he used that ridiculous Super Saiyan 3 power again? No wonder he lost. The battle had been lost before it even begun, no doubt. With Shin and Kibito with him, Vegeta teleported to Earth. And there was the cat, getting into a spot of bother with Buu over some pudding. Typical. He knew Beerus to be one with food. Suddenly, we stepped up to the prince and greeted him as if we were a long-lost friend. Well, hello. You must be Vegeta. I recognized that widow's peak anywhere. The prince was stunned. That was the cat's attendant.
Yes, I have come to stop him from destroying my planet.
Whis chuckled. My, such bravery. Considering the last time we saw you, that's quite the statement. Well, don't let me stop you. I'm keen to see how far you've come since you were a child. Perhaps you can scratch Lord Beerus's itch about the Super Saiyan God.
Super Saiyan God?
Maybe that's what he was now. He had trained with the Supreme Kai and he was like a god. Who knows? Well, he had to go in and try. Beerus turned to face the prince, whom stepped up into his field of vision, him recognizing the twerp immediately.
Ah, Prince Vegeta. I recognize the widow's peak anyway. I'm here to stop you from inflicting any more harm to this world.
The entire dragon team were left stunned. What? Was Vegeta on their side now? For real this time? Wow, I guess his galactic pilgrimage had done him the world of good then. Maybe he wasn't being such a blowhard anymore. Beerus was glad to fight Vegeta. He had personal beef with this one, and so initially, he decided to go easy with the prince. Give him some semblance of satisfaction. Don't break his spirit just yet. But he would then make him regret his words. That's how best to deal with Saiyans, he thought. However, it wasn't that simple, he quickly realised. Thanks to Vegeta's ultimate power, plus his further training and mastery of it, unlike Gohan who promptly stopped training after getting it, Beerus was overpowered for quite a while. He hadn't expected Vegeta to be that good. He wasn't even using that Super Saiyan thing that Goku had used. Vegeta was euphoric. He was winning against Beerus. Well, not for long though. With that, Beerus powered up to half his full power and completely trounced the prince. Not even all those years of training were enough to win out against one of the things he had feared since he was a little kid. But he was going against a destroyer god after all, to be fair. But before Beerus could land the final blow, Goku arrived to challenge the cat again for round 2. But Beerus wasn't satisfied with that. We then get the Super Saiyan God ritual being explained by Shenron, and the revelation of Videl's pregnancy comes up, and that means we still get the suitable number of Saiyans needed for it to play out. But it's not Goku that gets the power this time. After seeing what the prince could do, Beerus decrees that Vegeta will be the one to be bestowed with this power. The Dragon team are not happy about this and they push back, but the cat reminds them all that he could break their world in 2. The only thing that could soothe his furrowed brow right now was Vegeta getting this power, because he had a soft spot for the prince. The little scared child had grown into a fierce warrior. Not bad. So yes, Vegeta becomes a Super Saiyan God. Thanks to his training with Shin, his ultimate being unlocked, and now Super Saiyan God on top of that, he gave Beerus a much more fierce fight than Goku had done in the original. Beerus, instead of having to rely on 70% of his power, had to use 80%. A really serious duel. He still won against Vegeta, but this time he was in a much better mood before he fell asleep, his nap afterward being much more deep. We thanked Vegeta for the workout, and that he hadn't seen Beerus this spirited in millennia. They would be in touch as soon as Beerus had woken up, and that wouldn't be for a while, he thought. When Whis had taken Beerus away, the Dragon team were left feeling dejected. Vegeta hadn't improved. He was just as bad, and now he was a god amongst Super Saiyans. They would never be able to come back from this. They would never hear the last of this. Goku felt the worst of them all. There was no way he could train up enough to catch up with the prince now. Vegeta, though, pitied him.
It's all right, Kakarot. I'm sure that you'll find something to catch up with me just a bit.
Goku grimaced and struck Vegeta, and big mistake. Vegeta still had ultimate to fall back on, and pounded the Saiyan into the dirt.
Know your place before your god.
Great. A genuine god complex now. Indeed, Beerus had called for Vegeta after a while. Whis had been instructed to train the prince in refining the Super Saiyan god power even further, so that Vegeta may be able to use it more often, and perhaps give Beerus an even better challenge, even more so than he had done just now. One day, Whis had come by to collect some snacks from Capture Corp whilst training Vegeta on Beerus' planet, when Goku accosted the angel, requesting to be trained in the same fashion to the prince. Whis refused it, and Goku asked why.
You see, Goku, Vegeta thinks that you are not up to the challenge.
What? That's ridiculous! I'm always up for the challenge!
I appreciate the spirit, my friend, but Vegeta has informed me of your lack of integrity, your willingness to succumb to malevolent energy in the form of the wizard Babidi, allying with Jin-like demons like Majin Buu, and reminding Lord Beerus of your woeful performance against him when the first time you met him. I'm sorry, Goku, but we believe that you are not suitable material for this training.
Goku couldn't believe what he was hearing. Vegeta had played them all. He had manipulated Beerus and Whis something fierce, making them think that Goku was useless. But there's nothing he could have done. Whis bade Goku adieu and left him to stew. So yeah, where does this leave our story, MasakoX? Well, it leaves Vegeta training with Whis and Beerus, him abandoning Earth now, and its responsibilities, and his family. He didn't need them anymore. He had managed to get his way, and firmly put Goku in his place, the thing he wanted to do. Thusly, everything goes downhill for our heroes. Frieza's golden form beats Goku, he then destroys Earth, getting his revenge, but Whis was a little sad when he found out that Earth was no longer there. He really liked their snacks. Oh well, this kind of thing happened in their line of work. In turn, this means when Trunks comes back in time to call upon the Dragon Team to fight against Goku Black, all he is met with is empty space. The entire planet is gone, and had been for a while. King Kai had been told by Beerus not to interfere and bring that world back, since he was planning on destroying that planet himself anyway. And the only reason he hadn't done so before now, giving it a stay of execution, was because of Vegeta's earlier performance. But clearly, since Frieza had just come along and destroyed it, it wasn't worthy of his mercy anymore. Tough luck, the cat thought. And yes, you guessed it. Vegeta's power and training leads to him eventually becoming the Universe 7 candidate for the next Destroyer God when Beerus would retire, whenever that may be. Does the Tournament of Power also happen? Well, no. Since Zeno never met Goku and had been reminded of his boredom or given the idea of a tournament, or ever met his future self, Zeno just continued to plod along being himself, playing with his guards in the GP. All of this coming from Vegeta getting the Super Saiyan cherry first. His ego being utterly massaged, and it in turn leading to Earth's doom, in the midst of the prince's personal glory and desire to remind all that walked around him that he was the Prince of all Saiyans. And that's where we end things. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see another timeline where Vegeta tried to grasp power, check out this story here, where Vegeta never turned good, and ended up taking over Frieza's fallen empire. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!